The night before the baby shower, I dreamed my son had green eyes. The thing is, mine are brown, and so are Ethan's. I woke up sweating, the image of those green eyes still burning behind my eyelids. It felt more than a dream. It felt pointed, like someone was trying to show me something. The next morning, I told Ethan about it as a joke. We were standing in our kitchen, the one we'd spent months renovating together. He was eating cereal straight out of the box, shirtless, humming something low and familiar. "Maybe he'll surprise us," he said with a wink. "Jeans are weird." I laughed, kissed his cheek, and didn't think about it again. Not until months later, when I held our son for the first time in the sterile white light of the hospital and stared down into a pair of unmistakably green eyes. I remember the nurse saying, "Wow, those are rare." I remember laughing, but it was tight. I told myself it was possible. A rogue great-grandfather, a fluke. Things happen, right? But the thought rooted itself in me, deep, and it grew. Ethan didn't seem surprised. He cried, held the baby, told me I was his whole world. But when we got home, he started pulling away. He was never mean, just absent. He'd stare at his phone during feedings, miss bath time, seemed annoyed when I asked for help. He blamed stress. "I'm just not used to this much responsibility," he said. "It's not about you." I wanted to believe him, but at 3 a.m., when I was breastfeeding under the cold blue glow of the hallway light, that dream came back. Green eyes. A warning. So I did something I'm not proud of. I stole one of Ethan's razors from the bathroom, scraped off a few skin flakes, sealed them in a baggie, and ordered a mail-in paternity test. I labeled it research. I told myself it was about peace of mind. The results took 3 weeks. During that time, our son started making sounds, tiny coos and gurgles that Ethan never seemed to be around for. He had this habit of turning his head sharply toward the door, as if waiting for someone else. I'd say, "Daddy's coming," but he rarely was. Then came the first voicemail. It arrived on a Sunday morning, just after sunrise, when I was rocking the baby to sleep. I didn't hear the phone ring. I only found the alert later, buried between delivery updates and pediatrician reminders. No number, just voicemail, 0042. I pressed play. There was a crackle, a pause, then a woman's voice, soft, tired. "Hey, I don't know if you'll listen to this, but you said you'd tell her after the baby came. You said you just needed time." Silence. "I'm not trying to ruin things. I don't think I can keep lying." Click. I sat frozen, phone pressed to my cheek long after the message ended. I played it again, and again, and again. Each time, the same slow burn behind my ears. "You said you'd tell her after the baby came." I didn't confront him. Not yet. I archived the voicemail, backed it up, saved it in 2 places. Then I started filming. Not him, me. My face, my voice, my memories. Clips I could look back on in case I started to question my own sanity. "He lied," I whispered in one. I filmed. The DNA results came back on a Tuesday. I opened them while Ethan was in the shower. I sat on the edge of the bed, our baby sleeping in the bassinet beside me, the smell of eucalyptus shampoo wafting from the bathroom. My heart was pounding like a warning bell. I clicked the email. My eyes locked on the words. Probability of paternity, 0.00%. I blinked, read it again. 0.00. He wasn't the father. Not even close. My hands went cold. I heard the water stop. He stepped out, towel around his waist, humming the same tune from months ago, and I looked up at him and said, "Whose baby is this, Ethan?" He froze, and then he smiled. He smiled. Like I'd just asked if you wanted pancakes. Not guilt, not shock, just calm. And in that moment, something broke. Not loudly, not all at once. Just the soft, sickening click of reality folding in on itself. "You're going to want to sit down," Ethan said, toweling his hair, water dripping onto the floor like none of this mattered. It's a long story. I didn't sit. I didn't speak. I just stared, with the DNA email still glowing on my phone. "Okay," he exhaled, tossing the towel on the dresser. "So, technically, no, I'm not the biological father. But that doesn't mean anything. I've been his dad, Maddie." He said it like I'd misplaced a sock, like this wasn't a lie so big it could eat our entire life whole. "Who is?" I said finally. He shrugged. "Look, does it matter? It was a weird time. We were on a break. You remember. You said you didn't even want kids." My blood went cold. I got pregnant 2 months before we even got back together. He blinked, did the math in real time. "Oh," his only word. Just, "oh." Then, well, I guess it wasn't a clean timeline. I laughed. Sharp. Ugly. It startled the baby, who whimpered softly in his sleep. "You've been acting like this is your child. You held him like he was yours. You named him Ethan." "I didn't want to upset you," he said. "You were already so emotional, and I figured you'd come around." I nearly dropped the phone. "You figured you'd lie about being his father until I just accepted it?" He tilted his head. "Isn't that what parenting is? Showing up?" That's when I knew. This wasn't about fatherhood. It was about control. And suddenly, everything sharpened. The green-eyed dream, the voicemail, the way the baby flinched whenever Ethan raised his voice, even slightly. The time Ethan insisted on installing a security cam in the nursery just to be safe, but refused to show me the app it connected to. And then I remembered the burner phone. No, not his. Mine. I hadn't used it since before pregnancy. Bought it during a paranoid phase when I thought my real phone was glitching from spyware. I charged it that night and found 6 missed voicemails from a private number. The most recent one, dated 2 days after the baby was born. "He's filming you, not for memories, for evidence. He's building a case, Maddie." Then, check the nanny cam under the diffuser. I sat bolt upright, rushed into the nursery. There, tucked behind the lavender-scented diffuser on the bookshelf, was a small black cube. No blinking light, just silence. Recording, constantly. And beneath it, a folded sheet of paper, unlabeled. I unfolded it slowly. It was a printout of Google search history. Can you get custody if you're not biological father? How to prove maternal instability postpartum. How to legally declare mother unfit. How to win custody by documenting partner's breakdown. I felt like throwing up. The filming, the distance, the fake calm. He wasn't withdrawing. He was collecting footage, building a version of me I didn't recognize. I stepped back and hit the edge of the crib. My baby stirred. I pressed a shaking hand over my mouth. Then the burner buzzed again. New message. Unknown number. He lied. I filmed. Now it's your turn. Attached, a video file titled breathe.m4v. I opened it and watched myself on my own couch, rocking my baby, while Ethan stood just out of frame, whispering things I couldn't hear at the time. But the mic had caught it. That's it. Cry a little more. I need 30 seconds of shaky hands for the file. Don't look at the camera, baby boy. Just pretend mommy's being good again. The camera zoomed in. My face, tear-streaked, tired. My son, clinging to me. My body, shaking. All of it, evidence. Faked, framed, filed. And now, Now I had his version, but also mine. I opened my voice memo app and recorded 6 words. He lied. I filmed it too. The next morning, I started sending. Not everything, just one clip. The one with the nursery camera, Ethan whispering, me rocking the baby, his quiet little script leaking out like venom. I sent it to Julia, my best friend and legal consultant in secret, my OBGYN to establish I'd been emotionally and medically stable during pregnancy, a former coworker of Ethan's who had messaged me months ago with, "Hey, not my business, but is he okay? He told people at work some weird stuff." Then I posted a private YouTube video, unlisted, titled, "This is what psychological abuse looks like." No names, no accusations, just the raw footage, and a timestamp overlay, 12 days postpartum. Within an hour, Julia replied, "You need a lawyer today. This qualifies as custodial coercion. I have someone." Within 2, Ethan called, but not to apologize, to threaten. "You posted a video of my child?" I stared at my phone. "Not yours," I said. "You know what you're doing is illegal, right? That's slander, Maddie. That's parental alienation. I have emails, I have footage, I have dates." His voice was trembling now, but not from fear, from fury, from losing control. And I could tell he was unraveling. "I know about the custody file," I said flatly. "I know about the fake breakdown footage. I know what you're building." Silence. Then, like clockwork, "I don't know what you're talking about." I hung up and opened the last voicemail, the one I hadn't been ready for before, the one I saved for when I was strong enough. It was from her, the woman from the first voicemail, the one who'd said, "You said you'd tell her after the baby came." This one was shorter, quieter, but colder. "She doesn't look like you. You know that, right? She looks like me. I know you hate hearing it, but she'll never really be yours." Click. She said she. My heart stuttered. She, not he, not the baby in my arms. There was another child, another secret child, and this one, apparently mine. Or maybe not. I checked the timestamp. 4 months ago. I had no memory of any child but my own. I played the voicemail again and caught it. In the background, a baby crying, but not a newborn, older, more developed, and suddenly, every foggy moment of those early postpartum weeks slammed into me like a truck. The clinic visit Ethan said we didn't need, the weird questions he asked about my childhood medical records, the box I found labeled photo backup, Maddie's miscarriage, that I never opened, the dream, the green eyes, not just a warning, a memory, or maybe a planted one. That's when I remembered the old fireproof lockbox Ethan always kept at the back of the closet. He said it held documents from a family lawsuit. He'd always been so weirdly protective of it. That night, after he left for his shift, which I now doubted even existed, I found the key taped under the baseboard heater. The box was heavier than it looked. Inside, 1 burner phone, 3 USBs, a document titled Plan A, Custody Swap Protocol, Mother Number 2, and then I saw it, a printed photo of me holding a child I didn't recognize, a toddler with green eyes, wearing a little yellow raincoat and calling me Mommy. I stared at the photo like it was haunted. My arms were around her, a little girl no older than 2, with wisps of dark hair curling under the edge of her yellow raincoat. Her cheeks were full, her lips slightly parted like she was mid-laugh, and her eyes? Green, exactly like in the dream. The problem was, I had no memory of this child. I flipped the photo over. On the back, in Ethan's handwriting, were the words, "Maddie plus Elsie, day 142. Test passed." My stomach turned. Elsie. That was her name? And what the hell did test passed mean? I sat there, knees pressed to my chest on the closet floor, rain tapping gently against the window, trying to piece together the impossible. Had I? No. There's no way I forgot a whole child. But the photo wasn't photoshopped. I could tell by the depth of field, the lighting, the way her tiny hand clutched my necklace, the one I stopped wearing months ago because the baby kept grabbing it. Except in the photo, I was still pregnant. My bump was visible. The timestamp in the corner read March 11. That would have been 6 weeks before I gave birth. What the fuck? I dug deeper into the lockbox. The USBs were labeled by colors, red, blue, and white. I plugged the white one into my laptop first. Inside, dozens of folders titled with my name and dates. Audio files labeled Session 1 through Session 6. Video files labeled Reaction, Bottle Drop, Reaction, Crying Fit, Reaction, Memory Test. Each one showed me, but not me. I looked sedated, slow, slurry, responding to Ethan off camera as he asked questions like, "Do you remember when we first brought her home? Who named her Maddie?" And I'd answer things like, "You did, I think," or maybe, "No, maybe I did?" I felt sick. He was filming me, drugged, and testing how much I could remember. I opened Session 3. In it, I sat on the couch, staring at a toy duck. He asked, "Whose is that?" I blinked at the camera and whispered, "Elsie's?" Then immediately shook my head. No, wait, I don't have... Cut. End of file. That's when I realized what test passed meant. He was pushing to overwrite my memories, confuse timelines, confuse identities, create something malleable. Not just for me, but for a case, a custody case. Maybe even a switch, a bait and switch. I opened the red USB. This one was folders labeled Mother 1 and Mother 2. Inside were surveillance photos, court documents, voice recordings, all centered around 2 other women. One was the voice from the burner voicemails. Her name was Leah. The other? Julia, my best friend. She never had a child, or so I thought. But now there was a video of her, pregnant, talking to Ethan in a waiting room, saying, "She can't know yet. She's too unstable." My screen went blurry with shock. Julia knew. She was in on it. At least, at first. I slammed the laptop shut, rocked forward on the carpet, trying not to scream, to wake the baby. No, my baby. I still didn't know where Elsie fit in, or if she was even real. But I knew one thing. This wasn't just a lie. It was an experiment, and I had been its subject, a pawn. Maybe even a prototype. The burner phone buzzed again. A message from a new number. "I know who she is and who you are. Meet me where the dream started." Attached was a location pin. It led to a place I hadn't been in nearly a year. My childhood home, which had burned down when I was 12. The dream started there. Or at least, that's what the message said. But when I stood at the edge of the ruins, just blackened beams and ivy now, I felt a kind of recognition that split down my spine like lightning. The place was cordoned off, but the gate was loose. I pushed it open. Old ash rose in tiny plumes around my sneakers as I stepped across what used to be our living room floor. The fireplace was still intact, oddly untouched. And above it, carved into the stone, the initials M + E = infinity. Ethan had been here. I didn't even know him when I lived in this house. Or had I? The longer I stood in the hollowed-out shell of my childhood, the more the air felt wrong, charged, like something was pressing against my ears. A frequency too low to register, but too real to ignore. Then a car door slammed. I turned sharply. Julia stood at the far end of the rubble, arms wrapped tightly across her chest, wind whipping her hair sideways. "You weren't supposed to come here alone," she said, not moving closer. "Then you shouldn't have betrayed me," I snapped. Her face didn't change. Not guilt, not regret, just exhaustion. "You don't understand what he is," she said finally. "I understand enough. You helped him gaslight me, record me, replace my memories." "No," she said, voice sharp now. "I tried to stop him. I left when I realized what he was doing." "You were pregnant." Her lips parted. I saw it, the flinch. She tried to mask it, but the truth hung between us like smoke. "Where is she?" I demanded. "Where's Elsie?" Julia looked away. "I don't know. I haven't seen her since he left me for you." That line landed like a grenade. "What?" Julia finally stepped forward. "He tested it on me first, Maddie. The camera in the diffuser, the scripts, the sedatives, all of it. You were version 2. I couldn't breathe. I lost my job. I thought I was losing my mind. Then one day he said I needed a break, just a little retreat. I woke up in a clinic 3 states away with no phone and a discharge paper claiming postpartum psychosis. I felt like I might throw up." She continued. "When I finally got back, they were gone. Him, Elsie, everything. And then you posted your baby photos online." She swallowed hard. "She had my eyes, but your face, and I knew what he'd done, again." "I don't remember ever meeting her," I whispered. "He erased her from you. I don't know how. Hypnosis, drugs, sleep deprivation, maybe a mix. But you were pliable. You were what he wanted next." I thought of the USBs, the clips of me, blinking, stammering, nodding along to stories I didn't recognize. "But she's alive?" I asked, voice shaking. Julia nodded. "I think so. But he's keeping her hidden, using her, probably claiming you abandoned her." My knees gave out. I sat in the ash, hands trembling. Then I remembered the last file on the red USB, the one I hadn't opened yet, marked simply, "Final Proof." I took out my phone, opened the folder. Inside was a single video. "Mother replaced, success.mp4. I hit play. The footage opened on Ethan standing in front of a whiteboard in what looked like a therapist's office. Behind him, a timeline. Photos of me and Julia side by side. He was speaking directly to the camera. "Phase 1 complete. Subject number 1 destabilized and removed. Subject number 2 reconditioned and merged with subject number 1's maternal identity. Child believes transfer successful." He smiled. "She calls her Mommy now." I froze. And she doesn't remember the original. I dropped the phone. That's when Julia crouched beside me and said, "Look up. He's filming us right now." I looked up. At first, I didn't see it. Just sky, tree branches, what was left of a broken chimney reaching into the dusk. Then Julia pointed, not to the trees, but to the stone archway behind me. A blinking red light, nestled in the hollow of a charred beam. A goddamn camera, still running, still watching. "He's been tracking us," Julia said, "probably the whole time. This was never about Elsie, not really. It's about control, surveillance. He feeds off it." "Then let's give him a show," I muttered. We left the ruins fast. Julia drove. My hands shook the entire ride. My phone buzzed 6 times before I had the courage to look. Ethan, 6 missed calls. Then a text. Maddie, let's talk. I know where she is. Another one. Come alone. Another. No more games, or you'll never see her again. And finally, an address. It was familiar. My late grandmother's house. We hadn't been there in years. Ethan once joked it was the perfect off-grid bunker. Apparently, he wasn't joking. We got there just before midnight. The porch light was off. Everything else was dark. I turned to Julia. You stay out here. If anything feels wrong, call the police. Maddie, I'm her mother, I said. Even if I forgot, even if he took it away, I'm her mother and I'm taking her back. I stepped inside. The smell hit me first. Lavender and baby powder? A lullaby played softly somewhere down the hall. I followed it. At the end of the hallway, the nursery door was cracked open. I pushed it gently and froze. There she was, curled up in a tiny bed under a blanket printed with yellow ducks. A little girl, green eyes, clutching a stuffed bear. She turned her head toward me in the low nightlight glow, smiled sleepily, and said, "Hi, Mommy." My knees nearly buckled. She knew me. She still knew me. But before I could speak, the bedroom light snapped on, and Ethan's voice rang out behind me. "Careful," he said. "Wouldn't want to startle her." I spun around. He was holding something. A remote? A phone? No, a stun gun. He smiled like it was a joke. "Let's not make this a scene. You're already trespassing." "Where's her birth certificate?" I demanded. "Where's her real paperwork?" "Which version?" he said coolly. That's when I realized. He hadn't just swapped memories. He'd fabricated identities, multiple versions, multiple mothers, legally gray areas, enough chaos that no one could trace her lineage clearly. He was using her, maybe even planning to sell her or claim disability benefits or fake foster scenarios. I didn't know yet. But what I did know, I'd never leave her here again. "You can't keep her," I said. "Oh?" Ethan stepped closer. "You've already proven you're unstable. The videos, the journals. I've been building a profile of you for months, Maddie." He pulled out a file. Photos of me crying. A typed log titled Maternal Episodes. Dates, quotes, even fake text messages. All fabricated, all framed. I heard the front door creak. Then a voice. Julia's. "Drop it, Ethan." He turned. Julia was holding her phone, camera pointed, live streaming. To everyone who followed Maddie's video, this is the man behind him, Ethan Weller, psychological abuser, custody manipulator, identity forger. This is his house, and this is what he's done to 2 women and 1 little girl. Ethan lunged. I tackled him before he reached her. The stun gun clattered under the dresser. Elsie screamed. Julia called 911. It was chaos. Shouting, sirens, Elsie crying. I held her the entire time, refused to let go. When the cops arrived, Ethan was still cursing, spitting threats, calling me delusional. But none of it mattered anymore, because I had the files, the USBs, the voice memos, the footage, and now a live audience. By sunrise, the video had 44,000 views. By noon, a lawyer offered to represent me pro bono. By nightfall, Ethan's mugshot was everywhere. But the real moment, the moment that mattered, was when I tucked Elsie in that evening, and she reached up, touched my face, and whispered, "I dreamed you'd come back." The custody hearing lasted 4 hours. The outcome, 4 lines. Custody awarded to biological mother Madeline Reeve. Ethan Weller to have no visitation rights. Restraining order granted indefinitely. Criminal charges pending. The courtroom was silent when the ruling dropped. No applause, no relief, just the strange weight of survival after a war no one saw but me and Julia, and a little girl who'd somehow held on through it all. Ethan's face didn't flinch, but I saw the microspasm in his jaw, the twitch of disbelief. For the first time, he didn't control the ending. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed me. I didn't speak. I let Julia handle them, her redemption arc just beginning. She'd become a kind of shadow whistleblower overnight, leaking files, attaching timestamps, even forwarding an anonymous tip to a podcast with 2.6 million followers titled Custody Cults. But none of that was what mattered most. It was Elsie, sitting beside me in the backseat of Julia's car, humming quietly, clutching the stuffed bear Ethan had once used as a prop, and now she held like armor. I looked down at her. "You okay, sweetheart?" She nodded, then tilted her head. "Can we watch the video again?" I hesitated. "Which one?" She whispered, "The one where I call you Mommy, the first one." And that's when it hit me. She remembered. Not the scripts, not the conditioning, but the real thing. Somewhere deep down, she'd always known I was her mother. We watched the clip together later that night, her on my lap, head against my chest. It was grainy, recorded from a hidden baby monitor Ethan had thought he controlled, but it was mine now. In the video, I'm rocking her in a yellow nursery. She's maybe 2. I'm humming softly. She's murmuring nonsense. Then, in the tiniest voice, "Mommy?" I look down, smile, and say, "I love you, baby." It cut off right after that. Just 10 seconds. But those 10 seconds proved everything. That I had been her mother. Before the drugs, before the scripts, before the gaslighting and the burner phones and the erased timelines. And now, we were writing a new one, together. It took 6 months for Ethan's trial to begin. In the meantime, more women came forward. 3, then 5, eventually 9. Each one with eerily similar stories, dreams, lost time, children they couldn't explain, birth certificates rewritten, CPS reports edited or missing. He wasn't just a liar. He was a system, a manipulator with a template. And I'd been version 2, but also the one who ended it. When the trial finally came, I testified. So did Julia. So did Elsie, in her own way, through drawings, psychologists, and a single sentence whispered in court. He made me pretend. It was enough. Ethan was convicted on multiple counts: medical fraud, custodial interference, psychological abuse, digital identity manipulation, evidence tampering. He got 19 years. I'll never forget the look he gave me when the sentence was read. Not rage, not fear, just pure, seething disbelief that he'd been beaten, and by a woman he once filmed sleeping, labeled test subject, and logged like data. I still have the footage. I still have the voicemail. I still have the photo of me and Elsie in the yellow raincoat. But I don't need them anymore. Because now, every morning when I open my eyes, she's there, real, safe. And when she runs down the hallway yelling, "Mommy," I know exactly what it means. He lied, but I filmed. And now, she remembers.